Hi there, I'm Lawrence Fowler. I'm the writer-director of The Jack in the Box, which is out now on DVD and VOD, and also Curse of the Witch's Doll, which has been out for about a year or two now. I've been asked to make a little Q&A video for the Horror Screams Video Vault page. I'm more than happy to, but please do excuse the lockdown mop I have on my head. I first got into filmmaking when I was about 16 or 17. Back in Barry, which is my hometown in South Wales. I was at college studying art and design and tried everything from drawing to painting to clay work, just trying to find some sort of creative outlet for myself because I've always been quite artistic. My father's an artist, so I've always really felt I'm a creator of some sort, but couldn't quite find the format for that. And I thought I'd give film a go. So I made a little 3-minute film with my friends from college and an actor that had given me a bit of confidence, really, because obviously when we all start out, we start to think, oh, Hollywood makes films, and you know, if you're not in Hollywood or don't have the contacts, how are you going to make anything? But an actor friend from my school was starting to get some acting parts in commercials and small things, but the sort of projects that gave me confidence that, yeah, okay, I could start here and make something very small, very simple, very zero budget, you know, with my friends, and potentially work my way up to something a bit better. But we've all got to start somewhere, and that's where I started making a 3-minute little horror/thriller in college. So as I said before, I've been making films for roughly about 10, 11 years now, since I was in my late teens. I'm almost 30 now, somehow. But it's been a fantastic journey. I think perhaps one tips I'd suggest to some people looking to do the same thing is try and, especially if you're on a budget, try and understand as many different departments as you can. Get some sort of ability in every area. If you can edit, if you can shoot, if you can light, if you can, some would say act. I've never seen me acting. You wouldn't want to see that. For me, if you can do visual effects to some degree, it'll all help you save a little bit of money. For example, with Witch's Doll, we had a couple of scenes that are set in the 1800s, and there's a fire extinguisher in the background that none of us spotted on the day, but it's really quite annoying if you sit down and watch the film. And because it's bright red, and you just can't escape it. Now, I mean, we didn't have the money to hire VFX, people to paint that out. So having an understanding of, at least the very basics of After Effects or some, even Cinema 4D or some other, software, it doesn't make it so much of a problem, because I was able to paint it out in a couple of hours and fix a problem that if I didn't have those skills or didn't have the knowledge or budget, that, we would have had to reshoot. That cost time. And to be honest, like I said, we didn't even spot it on the day. So we would have been absolutely screwed. So a little tip, I guess, would be to just try and get some sort of understanding of every single area you can. And that will, in the long term, help you communicate with people if you hire for those jobs anyway, if you don't do them yourself. What I'm currently working on, I'm currently developing a sequel to The Jack in the Box, which has been a really successful project for us. It's selling extremely well in the US on DVD and VOD. I think we're getting a cinema release in 10 countries around the world, which is amazing for a small budget film and team like we are. And I'm really excited about this sequel. I'm just fingers crossed that we get the go-ahead with that, and we can bring that to the screen hopefully next year. That would be fantastic. Obviously, depending on the corona situation, but we'd like to be filming later this year. So what have I worked on? Well, over the past 10 years, I've lost count of the amount of short films I've made, to be honest with you, along with the 2 feature films I mentioned. But alongside, my own projects, I think it's really important, and I'd recommend anybody watching this, if you're starting out, is to go out and work on other people's films and series and dramas and soaps and music videos, anything you can, just to get a sense of what the filmmaking world's like. I remember when I first started out, I was in my teens, and I would go out and try and just do a day or two on some large productions um, really not glamorous roles. you know, we're talking about unpaid sort of runner positions on these projects, but it teaches you a lot. You experience a lot. Being in that environment, you start to learn the different terms of the equipment, how people, respect, treat each other on set, when to speak up, when to be quiet. You just learn the filmmaking process. And again, if you are happy to do this unpaid, if you're happy to kind of leave your ego at the door and understand that, you're not the top dog on these projects, of course, then there is a lot to be gained from that. And yeah, I spent a little bit of time doing that. So after that, I made a ton of short films. Took a couple to the Cannes, which is the Cannes short film corner in France, obviously, which was a fantastic experience, and I'd recommend anyone doing that because I believe that any film that's submitted can virtually make it through. I think it's just a pay you go, and it's an amazing experience. You'll meet fantastic people. You learn so much. And yeah, I guess the only tip I'd say is just keep making stuff, however small, however big. Keep working, keep making films, and with every project you're going to improve. You're going to get better, and learn more experience, and the quality of your films is just going to go upwards. So if you're like me when you first started out and were a little bit confused or daunted by the prospect of getting into the filmmaking industry, where do you start? Well, I started personally, of course, after going to college, making some small short film projects with my friends. I decided to take the plunge and go to film school. Now, I know a lot of people, these days don't recommend film school, and they've got some very valid points. A lot of people argue that you don't need film school because everything you need and you'll learn at film school is on YouTube or in books, or long story short, you can get it for free. Now, that's absolutely true. For a start, that is 100% true. If you work hard enough and you really want to, you can get an amazing amount of information from these free resources. However, what you don't get, and it's debatable whether it's worth paying, the amount it is for this, I understand. But I personally think it is. What you don't get from self-teaching or YouTube is that feeling of the environment that you get from film school. When you go to film school, you are put in an environment and around a certain amount of people that are all keen to learn like you, and most importantly, they eat, breathe, sleep film. They absolutely love film. They want to work on your films. They want to work with you, share ideas, and the passion of student filmmakers is incredible. For the most part, of course. And what film school does is it gives you that kind of connection base with people, that if you continue to make films, they'll work with you for years and years and years. For example, two people, Dave Ware, Christian Domingo, both crew members I met at film school. We've made tons of short films together for no money, just learning, and then all these years later, I'm paying them to be on my films. I'm still hiring these people because not only are they fantastic at their job, they're really good, honest people. We just have we've kind of grown up through this film world together in a weird way. We've built a connection and a shorthand in dialogue that saves so much time on set, and trust that I know that when I hire them, these guys they're gonna be good, and I can most importantly trust them. The problem when you hire, for projects, is that you can get lucky and unlucky in who you hire if you don't know the people. If you're basing it on showreels or CVs, you're taking a bit of a leap of faith. And the amazing thing about film school is that you just get to know people, and they're people that, like I said, you will bring back time and time again, and you'll be a richer filmmaker for that. And the flip side of that is if you want to be a crew member rather than a director producer, is that you meet people like me, directors, and people that will hire you, and you'll be put on films that give you incredible amount of experience. So I would recommend that as a place to start. Secondly, if you're thinking you want to be a kind of a producer, writer, director, someone that develops their own project and gets it out there into the world, something I would really recommend doing is, before you put 2, 3, 4, however many years into your passion project, is just make sure of 2 things. Number one, it's a project you really, really want to make, and through thick and thin, you will push it forward. And number 2, I would personally recommend, through my own experience, is that your chances of it getting off the ground, especially if you need to raise a substantial amount of budget, it sounds obvious, but are incredibly much higher if there's a market for your film. If you manage to time it with a subgenre that is really popular at the moment that you're trying to make your film, or you foresee a genre that's growing, or you just have something that you can defend and sell to people as people will want to watch it for this reason. It just gives you a really, really good start that I think a lot of people neglect, or they feel a bit above it. I kind of understand it, but if you can make sure that there's a consumer for your end product, your chances of it being made will be incredibly high. Thanks so much to Horror Scream's Video Vault for this opportunity to do this Q&A today. I've really, really enjoyed it. If you would like to check out some of my films and support us, please check out Curse of the Witch's Doll, which is on Prime, I believe, and The Jack in the Box, which is a much better film. So check that one out. It's definitely on Prime, and also you can get it on physical in America from Walmart, Best Buy, and the distributor has done a fantastic job with the key art. It's got fantastic sort of foil slip cover. Check that out if you can. Or if you're in the UK, it's available from Asda and of course Amazon for delivery. But yeah, thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy my films.